So here is my case study number 1. And this is something about being awkward, about telling this to your boss. Jonathan, my boss is a very smart woman who comes up with innovative and creative ideas every minute. While it's good that she never runs out of energy, it can be exhausting because I feel compelled to every idea she suggests. So she gets triggered. Whoever this is Ariana from Singapore, by the way. Ariana says she gets triggered that she has to attend to everything. She sends it on email, on WhatsApp, and sometimes during bedtime. How can I tell her that she needs to tone down so that I can focus on my work? Can I get an exclamation mark if you can relate to this colleague, regardless if it's your boss or your teammate or someone from another department? So you have a very eager beaver office mate who is so passionate about everything that they tend to raise all of their ideas to you, and sometimes they just don't stop. Can you relate to that? So in my case, I can relate to this. I think sometimes I am that person. Or as a manager or as an entrepreneur, I think I am the one who keeps on bugging my people that something needs to get done. But here's the case. What if you need to ask that person to tone down because it is taking away your focus, it's distracting you, it also stresses you out, in a sense that you feel like you have to do a lot of things on your plate, even if it's outside your job scope. So here are a few things that I'd like you to consider. Tip number 1, clarify and look into the mirror and see if you are the culprit. There is a difference between being imposed to do something versus someone suggesting it to you, but you're not compelled to act on it. Because here's my suggestion. Many people are stressed because they think they need to do it when in fact, they're not required to do it. Can I get a letter R if you can relate to that? Okay. So I often tell this to my direct reports as a manager, as a business owner. I tell them, I'm sending you a message, but it doesn't mean you have to reply now. I can wait for your feedback the next morning or by lunchtime. This way, my people know that they don't need to feel stressed and anxious that they only have 30 minutes left to reply, right? But here's the problem. If people don't say that to you, some people think that they have to respond immediately. So sometimes you have to segregate the feelings. Am I stressed because I feel that I have to do it? Or am I stressed because I feel that this person is going to judge me if I don't get the job done? And sometimes that is now your own shortcoming. If you're not being required, you have no obligations to act on it immediately. You have to tame your own emotions. There's a difference between urgent and important. Something that is important can be urgent, but not all urgent things are important. I'll give you an example. It's the Lazada and Shopee 7/7 sale in the Philippines, right? And I'm sure a lot of you want to buy something, such as our books, for example. But I also want to highlight that not everything that is urgent meaning there is a deadline. The sale is going to end in a few days. Does it mean it has to be the most important thing in the world? Maybe not. And that is the reason why sale do not end forever, do not happen forever. Because the feeling of having a deadline makes you feel anxious that you have to do something about it. Okay? So that is the first tip in this case. Clarify if it's just you who feels the stress. Because no one can manage that stress but you. You can't blame the person if they are enthusiastic. They're simply being vocal about their thoughts. If you're the one who's being stressed, it is up to you to manage that stress. Okay? So that's the first one. The second I'd like to share is this. If your manager keeps on sending you messages, even at nighttime, or let's face it, some managers are not only enthusiastic, some managers are really asking you to submit or work past dinner time. If this is the case, I always recommend to do a heart-to-heart talk and talk about how it is relevant when it comes to your personal wellness. Examples of that, family, health, and mental wellness are always valid and good reasons that you should not be ashamed of. So I will use a spiel such as, hey boss, I'd like to talk about the task that you are asking for the night. May I ask if this is something that I can postpone to tomorrow by lunchtime because I have committed a dinner with my family tonight. Okay? You might be surprised. Sometimes small conversations like this are just nothing. But the only reason why you think it's hard to do it is because you are exaggerating that your boss is going to get mad. If you explain it in a way that they can understand and that they can relate to, they'll be fine and they will shrug it off. Okay? Sometimes we put our bosses into a pedestal thinking that they're going to eat us up if we say something. These people are also human beings. And that's why I often say your family and your health and your mental wellness, if you raise these issues with them, they will understand because they are also in the same boat. They also have the same challenges that they face. Okay? That's the second one. The third one has something to do with, this one's a dark horse. Okay? I want to make a disclaimer. This one's a dark horse technique, but I think sometimes it helps. Sometimes silence and inaction help. If there is no major consequence for not replying, because it's really not that important, keep still and just ignore it and reply to it the next day. Again, this might take extra observation because you need to know if this one's really urgent or not. If you think that this is something that's a by the way or an FYI and can wait for tomorrow, train your manager. Train your manager in a way that whenever she sends something past midnight or past dinner time, don't reply, reply the next day. The more you do it as a habit, the more she understands that you're the type of person who values your personal life after dinner time. And so it could be a reason why she will stop and you didn't even need to tell it to her directly. Okay? Can I get the letter S? Have you done that? I think in Asian context, that also helps a lot. For me, that works. And I think in the corporate world, we have an idea that silence means it's either not my priority or we are telling to the other person indirectly that I can wait and I will reply to this tomorrow instead. So silence and inaction can also help. Okay? John, do you prefer that I turn off my laptop, I turn off my phone notifications if you think that there is nothing, if there is no major emergency? Why not? Right? Because sometimes you can be stressed just by the notification alone, just by reading the message alone. Okay? Make sure though that you have a ways of working. So ways of working, for example, it should be understood that if someone's not being responsive and there is an emergency, you have the license to call. So that is what I do. I turn off sometimes when I don't need to be bothered or disturbed, I will turn off my internet connection so that no one is able to contact me and I do not get to read any messages. However, if something is really important, at least my mobile phone is turned on. So if someone thinks that something is so urgent, they can still call me up. Okay? If it's really that important. Otherwise, it can always wait the next day. Okay? Can I get an exclamation mark? Is that also applicable to clients? Says Karen. I want to highlight this. Clients can be different. And I'm saying this because I'm a business owner and I report to my clients. So there are moments wherein if the request I think can be reasonably important, I will of course attend to it. If I want to impress the client because I am still pitching to them, I will reply to them immediately. But if it's something that is unreasonable, that even if I work on it tonight, there's no point because it's not like you're going to check it tonight anyway, why should you reply? It's the same thing that I think we should apply for weekend work. If you're giving a deadline to someone, don't give the deadline on a Friday night because the chances are people are not going to check on the work anyway. Give it on a Tuesday morning or on a Wednesday, right? It gives people a peace of mind. Same thing also, don't give a deadline on a Monday, 8 o'clock morning. A Monday, 8 a.m. deadline means you are implicitly telling the other person they have to work over the weekend. Okay? And I think that's unfair because weekend is not quiet work time. Weekend is supposed to be rest time.